Hey, Jake Guitar here. Listen, today we're doing something a little different. Today we're going to set up a FM stereo transmitter. For the purpose of this educational video, we are in compliance with Part 15 of the FCC rules and have the power turned down all the way. This is the Veronica 30-watt variable power FM transmitter. I bought this machine online probably about 10 years ago from a company out in the UK. I think I paid about $350 or $400 for it, and it actually came with a dipole antenna as well and a tower. Okay, let's get started setting up this transmitter. As you can tell, I'm actually at the park. Alright, I just wanted to set this thing up outside. It was a nice day. On the back of the transmitter, there are some sockets and some jacks. You'll see the RF output socket, which you're going to connect your antenna onto. Your power input jack, which they actually supply a transformer, and your left and right audio input jacks as well. Alright, so let's move on to the dipole antenna. Alright, this is a 50 ohm tuned dipole antenna that actually came with the Veronica kit, and it's very important that before you try powering up and transmitting anything, you got to have your dipole antenna in place, otherwise you can cause damage to your transmitter. As you can see, basically this is a T sticking out off the top part of the pole, and you actually want to set the pole up as high as possible because the further up you have your antenna, the further your FM transmission will be. Alright, so one of the things you'll notice about this Veronica transmitter is there are no knobs or dials or switches or buttons on the face of it. Essentially, all your controls are inside of the unit. So what you got to do is you got to take these two screws off and pull the cover off and open up the box and take a look at the circuits. And I'll show you those in a second. Okay, so we're going to pull the cover off and place it on the side. There are actually three main components inside the transmitter. There's a vertical board, and that's the crystal ref stereo encoder. You also have the 1-watt PLL driver with the PLL lock-unlock adjustment screw, and also you have the dip switches, which are on the PLL driver as well. And here is a close-up shot of those dip switches. You can see there are two of them, and they're numbered 1 through 6 each of them. The last board is the 30-watt power amp, and it has a variable adjustment on it, and you can go virtually from 0 all the way up to 30 watts. I had it set just about at the 0 point. Alright, on the vertically mounted crystal referenced stereo coder board, you're going to notice there are two little jumpers. They're called the pre-emphasis settings. Now, depending on what part of the world you live in, the jumpers will be in different positions. In Europe, you'll need it at 50 microseconds, and in the United States, you'll have to set them at 75 microseconds. Now, the main reason behind that is the receivers in different parts of the world are set to receive at different pre-emphasis settings. So, for example, if you're in the United States, and of course the receivers are set to receive at 75 microseconds, and you're transmitting on 50 microseconds, the sound will sound very bassy and punchy, and it will not sound good. On the other hand, if you were in Europe and the receivers are set to receive at 50 microseconds and you're transmitting at 75 microseconds, the sound coming in on your receiver will be very trebly. This is a close-up of the board, and you can see the two blue jumpers. You can simply pull those jumpers off and move it up or down a notch, and you can change the pre-emphasis settings from 75 to 50 or vice versa. And also, if you want no pre-emphasis, you could do that as well. I included this little paper here that actually came in the owner's manual of my transmitter. Alright, let's go over to the car radio and find a blank station. Okay, so we've found a frequency 106.9 on the dial. There's no music coming in, there's no audio coming in, it's just nothing but static. In the Veronica owner's manual, they give you several pages, and the pages contain the dip switch settings for the frequency that you choose. So in this case, we chose 106.9, and the dip switch settings are as follows. On, off, on, on for the first dip switch, and off, on, off, on for the second dip switch. Alright, so let's go over to the dip switches and simply just flip the on-off switches into the correct positions until we get our setting exactly correct. And as I said, the first switch will be on, off, on, and the second switch will be set at off, on, on. Okay, so before we start transmitting, of course, you have to connect your antenna, otherwise you're going to ruin your transmitter. So you connect your antenna, you put on your power supply, and you also have to connect a source. Now, over here in the end, depending on what kind of audio source you have, you can connect a guitar, you can connect a MIDI keyboard, you can connect a microphone. What we decided to do for demonstration purposes is to connect a cell phone and just simply play some music through the cell phone and into the transmitter. And we're going to also test it and listen to it on the radio at 106.9 in the car and see how it works. Alright, so here we go. Okay, so once the source is connected and the dip switches are correct and the antenna's on and the power's on, we are then going to finally adjust the PLL adjustment screw until it locks in. On the front of the case, you'll see two lights. One is the PLL lock, one is the PLL unlock. When you first start adjusting the screw, it's going to say unlocked, and you want to turn the screw very, very carefully until it finally says PLL locked, and that's when you're locked in on the frequency, and that's where you're going to leave it.